Hello guys. In last discussion, we started discussing about all the types in C#. We saw classes, how to create objects from classes. In this discussion, we will discuss about structs in C#. Structs are another important types in C#. A struct is usually used to store some data. And like a class, there can be function members associated with a struct type.
Then Mark, how does a struct differ from a class?
Well, to begin with, a class is a reference type. On the other hand, a struct is a value type. That means, when you create an instance of a struct type, the data is stored on the stack, and not on the managed heap. Another major difference is, a struct, unlike a class, cannot be inherited. You cannot derive another type from a struct. In other words, a struct does not support the concept of inheritance. Also, a struct does not support the concept of polymorphism. Means, you cannot overload or override a struct type.
But Mark, a struct is still an object in C#, as per the unified type system, right?
Yes, indeed. The struct type in C# derives from the system.value type. And system.value type derives from system.object. So, this conforms to the concept of unified type system of C#. Struct indirectly derives from the common root, object. Now let's see an example of a struct type. The declaration of a struct is very similar to that of a class. The header part of the struct starts with the access modifier, public, followed by the C# keyword, struct, followed by the name of the struct, geopoint. There are three field members in this struct: point name, latitude, and longitude. Also, there is a constructor, which initializes the values of all the fields. And there is an override of the toString method, which represents the struct in the form of a string. A struct can be written without any explicit constructor, in which case, there is an implicit default constructor, just like in a class.
Mark, is it possible to write a struct with multiple constructors, like we can do in a class?
Well, you can write multiple constructors. But the condition here is that, you must initialize values of all your field members in each constructor. If you miss to initialize value of any field member in any constructor, the compiler throws error, and the code will not build. So, remember, if you write a constructor for a struct, you must initialize value of each field in every constructor you write.
Mark, is it possible that we assign the value of the field when we declare it, and then do not assign the value in the constructor?
David, while we are discussing these things in 2022, C# is being developed by Microsoft continuously. There are newer versions of the .NET framework, released as per their schedule. With each version of .NET, there is newer and advanced version of the C# language. Now, coming to the initialization of struct fields, it is possible in C# language version 10.0 and above. And the C# 10.0 is supported by .NET version 6 and above. So, as of now, if you are working on latest version, you can do struct field initialization. Also, note that, you cannot write a parameterless constructor for a struct, if your code is using C# version below 10.0. The compiler will throw an error, if you try to do so.
Okay Mark. Please give examples of how to create objects from structs.
Here are some examples, my friends.